Hello kindergartners, and welcome to our third week of technology tips, or tech tips for short. This week we are going to be talking about some really important technology things that we can use on Zoom. Last week I talked a little bit about Zoom. I talked about how you can change your name on your Zoom, and also kind of showed you what Zoom might look like on a computer or your iPad. And then the week before that, we talked about the volume control, turning the volume up, turning the volume down, or turning the volume off. This week, we are going to be talking about mute and unmute. Think to yourself, have you ever heard the word mute before? Maybe thinking about technology like we're doing today. Right. Some people have heard the word mute before and others have not. Mute means to turn the sound off. During Zoom meetings, it's important to have your sound off when you're not talking so that you can hear other people talking. When someone is talking, they would be unmuted, which means they would not be muted so that their voice can be heard by you. You would be muted so your voice cannot be heard by others while someone else is talking. So, mute on our screen looks like this. This icon or image has a microphone on it, something you talk into to make your voice louder or to make your voice come through technology. You use a microphone. But this picture of a mute button has a big red slash through it. We know that that means this microphone is not working right now, which means our voice is not working through the technology as well. That's called muting. When your voice cannot be heard by other people, you are muted. Let's say mute 3 times together and point to your brains when you're saying the word mute so that you can push it in there. Ready? Mute. Mute, mute. Press really hard, press it so it sticks in there. Mute is a term or a word that we are going to be using a lot during Zoom. The opposite of mute or something, and mute looks like this, the opposite of mute or something completely different from mute is unmute. Unmute, you would press unmute on your screen when you are ready to talk. Unmute does not have this red line across it, so you know that it's okay to talk because there's not a big red line. During a Zoom meeting with your class, you might hear your teacher say, please make sure you are muted so that we can hear our friends talk. The opposite of that, or the completely different thing that we can do, muted, unmuted, we would press the unmute button, or this button that does not have a red line across it, when we want to talk. We'd press, okay, I'm ready to talk, unmute. And then your friends and your teachers can hear you talking. So this is unmute with no line, mute with a line. Okay, so we have unmuted and muted that we have now talked about. I'm going to show you 2 more pictures that we are going to be seeing on our Zoom and be using a lot of. These are video on and video off. Kind of like mute and unmuted, they are opposites. They mean a completely different thing from each other. Video on, video off. You can kind of think of like a light switch on, light switch off. Same thing with video on and video off. Video off looks like this, kind of like muted or turning the volume off. We see that red line across the middle. Video off. When we press that on our screen goes blank and we cannot see you anymore. It just says your name across the middle and it's a dark screen. That is what happens when you press video off. So video off has the red line across it. Video on does not have a red line across it, just like unmuted. When you want your volume on, you are unmuted, and when you want your video on, you have this button without that red line across it. So video on, and this means when you press it, everyone can see your smiling face during our Zoom meetings. So it's important to have this on during our meetings so that your teacher and your friends can see you. So we have video on, no red line. That means when you see this, everyone can see you. There isn't a red line. When we have video off, we have the red line across the middle and no one can see our screen. So we have video on, video off. Make sure they're not twisted. There we go. We also have unmuted, and let's see if I can hold them all in one hand. Muted, unmuted, and muted. Now I want to show you what these look like on our devices. Okay, so I have asked my friend Sam the Sloth to help us again with our Zooming. He is zooming in on my computer and I'm zooming on my iPad. So I'm going to show you my iPad right now. There's Sam the Sloth. He's sitting right next to me on my computer. This looks like what I showed you last week. I have my computer, I have my iPad and my computer. This is Sam here and this is me. Do you think my video is on or off right now? I think video on, video off. Right, my video is off. So we see video off. If we touch our screen, at the very top, it says unmuted, unmute, and start video, or video on. So if we press this button, we know that it's off because we see that red line through the video icon. Just like, oops, just like, there we go. Just like our icon that we practiced with earlier, we see that up here. If we want our video on, we just have to tap that. So remember, if we want that toolbar to come up at the top, we just touch our screen like that. And then we press the video button. Now you can see my camera right there. Here we go. And you can see Sam the Sloth. Okay, I'm going to turn my video off again. So I'm going to touch and oh, look up here. What icon or picture do we see? Right, video on. We know we can see myself and we can also see Sam the Sloth. So his video must be on, right? So I'm going to touch that now. And when I touch it, there's that red line again. So now looking at my screen, looking at our icons up here, am I muted or unmuted? Right, I'm muted because we can see that line across the microphone. Another way to tell is down here at the bottom. When we look at our screen and our classmate's screen, we can see that little red, it's kind of hard to see if I maybe don't move. There we go. That little red dot on my screen and on Sam the Sloth's screen is also a red microphone with a red line through it. That's showing that we are both on mute right now. So if I wanted to unmute myself, I need to touch my screen, come up here, and press unmute. Ah! Did you hear me? That was crazy. It heard me through my iPad and through my computer, so it was making a crazy noise because it was bouncing back and forth between the two of them. So I quickly muted myself again so it wouldn't make a loud noise. So we have mute and unmute, and then we have video on and video off, or start video and stop video is another way that you might hear it. Everybody start your video would be video on, and everybody stop your video would be video off. Okay, now one more thing I wanted to show you before I let you go today is the chat box. So sometimes when we are Zooming, your teacher might have you write something in the chat box. Maybe everybody press the letter M on your keyboard and send it in the chat box. Then you would go here and you go up to the very top, and there is a button that has 3 dots and it says more underneath. You would press that, and then the very top thing says chat. The very top one. Here is our chat box. If we touch this little rectangle at the bottom here, if we touch that, my keyboard comes up and I could type something. I'm gonna say, hi, Sam. I said, hi, Sam. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. Hi, Sam. And I'm gonna send that. Now, Sam's gonna see that on his screen too, because everyone can see the chat box. I wrote, hi, Sam. And maybe Sam would write back. Let's see. I'm gonna send a secret message. Oh, there it is. He said, hi, Miss Sorensen. So you can chat with your classmates and your teacher on the chat. You can also use something called emojis. Emojis are little pictures. Sometimes they're hearts or smiley faces or frowny faces or balloons. There's lots of different pictures that you can use that are called emojis. And if we click, so we have our toolbar, remember, touch your screen, toolbar, and we go up to the more button, we see some emojis up here. Maybe your teacher says, give me a thumbs up if you understand what I'm saying. There's a thumbs up emoji. We can touch it. And then, do you see the thumbs up emoji at the top of my screen? I could just send an emoji and say, I get it. Okay, if you would like to do that on a computer or a laptop, I'm gonna show you. If I touch my trackpad or this little square here, my tools come up at the bottom. I am going to see how we have it. It's muted right now. Muted because it has that red line through it, but my video is still on because we don't have a red line through that button. Okay, now we can see Sam on my iPad. We see here, Sam the Sloth, he doesn't have his video on, so his name is on the computer instead. Sam has his chat box on. We can see that. It says, hi, Sam. Hi, Miss Sorensen. I'm just gonna exit that so you can't see it anymore and it's not in our way. When I move my finger like this, our mouse moves around and we can see our toolbar at the bottom here. Here, we know that our screen is off or our video is off because that red line is through it. And here we know we're muted because that red line is through it. So we can't be seen and we can't be heard right now. And I also wanted to show you the chat box. If we move our cursor, our mouse, we come down here, and this little button here, it has a little bubble right here. It says chat. It starts with a C. We then press the chat, and there's our chat. It says, hi, Sam. Hi, Miss Sorensen. Now I've exited out of it so you can't see the chat, and I'm gonna show you how you can react or send those emojis. If we go to the tool that has the little smiley face, we press that, and then we can also give our thumbs up. There we go, Sam the Sloth gives a thumbs up. So it's the same thing. It can happen on your iPad, on your phone, on your laptop, whatever technology you're using, you can do the same things. It's just a little bit different to get there, but the same idea. Okay, everyone, that was it for our technology tips for today. I have a really exciting one that I think you'll like a lot next week to end our technology tips. For now, if you have any questions, make sure to ask a family member or maybe an older sibling if they've used Zoom before. And you are also more than welcome to ask one of the kindergarten teachers. We would also love to help you too. I'll see you next week for some more technology tips. Bye!